Dr. Morning Ladies, my name is Chaz, and welcome to the What If Zuko was trapped in the metaverse. So, in this alternate timeline, he discovered the crystal. Or in this alternate timeline, there's a little crystal. So, it's called the metaverse crystal. And hello everyone. I'm the crystal that you see on your screen and before you. And I am very thankful. I am now in one of these what if videos. And my job is to kept the metaverse from collapsing on itself. I know this. I know that you're watching this from your TV, your phone, your computer, anything like that. And so, welcome. Now let's get on to the video, and I hope that you guys enjoy this. Has crystallized his what if, or whatever it's called. There's so many what ifs that you guys created from the metaverse itself. So, goodbye. Sorry about that. I had some technical home difficulties, but I'm back. So, it was kind of weird. So, where were you? Okay, so Zuko, was, so Zuko in this alternate timeline is, or has the powers of infinity and zero, and and he also has a sister, that she has fire manipulation. And so so sorry about that. So let's begin. Them being born, and so at age 3, he hangs out with Bakugo and Ochako. And Ochako in this alternate timeline has a humongous crush on Zuko. Through the entire series. After they met, so they always hold hands. So, but one day they went to this museum. There, there was this crystal. They were all hucked around, and they found, or they as something triggered, or actually, when they were 5 years old, or no, actually 4, after they got their quirk checked. So then the Zuko, who ended up, when he was near it, he felt like something's burning inside of his body. But he's just, when he left, and Bakugo was picking on him, but Ochako asked Zuko, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay. It's just that something was weird." So then Ochako walks over, so Ochako was, as no one so when Zuko went to bed, and he puts on his jammies, but then suddenly a crystal, that same crystal, teleported out of the museum without, as it went right to Zuko's house, as it woke, or as he was controlled, mind controlled, to get out of bed, and as its eye on it, or its crystal went in, with a ghostly hands, grabs him, brought him closer and closer. After he got teleported into another alternate, or actually into all of the metaverse for the rest of his life. That's what he thought. But then he landed in one of the multiverse, where he met his doomsday counterpart. As that guy, instead of killing him, he picked him up. He brought him over to his home, laid him down on his bed, and he sat right next to him. When he woke up, he saw destruction. As he walks in, he saw that. He froze as the guy as Zuko or Doomsday picks up. As he walks over slowly, but not to freak him out, but slowly he picks him. As he says, "Hey kid, calm down. I'm just What's your name?" "My name is Zuko Midoriya." "Yours? That's impossible. I'm Zuko Midoriya." Unless you're from the alternate timeline, where they did not do anything rational to your mother, like what as he takes them to the grave where he shows them he shows him the where his mother as Zuko, the one that we're talking about, I'm talking about the not Doomsday Zuko, but the other Zuko, the 4-year-old kid one, not the 78. Yeah, that's what his name, or no, that's his age of a Doomsday Zuko is. So, yeah. So he ends up, he's more older and wiser now compared to Reckless when he was in his prime. So so basically, Zuko was, or when a 4-year-old Zuko saw his own mother's grave, as he starts to question his insanity, as he starts to tear up, as Doomsday Zuko walks over and hugs him. Your Zuko, or yours mother is still alive. I will train you, because there's one thing that I did notice that you have. These powers of zero and powers of infinity. That's what you have, Zuko, in your body as the abilities. So, you're saying that I'm the most powerfulest person in the world, right? Correct. Let's me train you. First training is using your zero to conjure up all the quirks that were of the dead users, though one except for one quirk, all for ones. Okay. So then he focuses, as he could feel the aura of every quirk that was in the Doomsday Zuko's timeline, or in his universe, fueled into his body, as those quirks became new power. Like, he has infinity, zero, at the beginning. But at the beginning, that was his two powers, infinity and zero. And then he used so now, after he used the powers of zero to gain all the quirks that was from Doomsday Zuko's thing, and they thought, or no, actually Zuko thought he was gonna turn into a Nomu thing, but then Doomsday Zuko says, as this. No, no, kid, her powers of zero. I could tell that your powers of zero does not allow you to transform into the so yeah, basically Zuko uh, was so now he has everyone's quirk as it they turn into his power. Yeah. So now he has infinity, zero, and everyone's quirk inside of his body. So then that's good. Now let's train. So in that alternate timeline goes different from like the average time of a in this metaverse. So let's go back to where he was at before. So his parents were wondering, and let's say Asashi was like, okay, what happened to the crystal? Well, we don't know. Well, the footage says that it randomly disappeared. And then he gets a phone call from Inko, and their son was gone. And as they're wondering why, wait, our son's gone? Did someone take him? Like, as they're trying to piece together of this mystery thing. So then Zumi, of course, Ochako does, when she heard that Zuko got abducted thing, she just narrowed her eyes and she told them, maybe I have a theory. It's just my theory. But tell me, or tell us. As it was, let's say, Ochako's parents. Or no, actually the detective. The crystal was that same crystal, the one that was in the museum that you guys are talking about. Yeah. My boyfriend, Zuko, I noticed that his reaction, like his body's, when I touched his shoulder, it's not, it was like flaming. It's like his insides are flaming from the outsides, too. When he was near it. But when we walked back, like after he walked me home, and when he walked home, he seems fine. Then maybe that same crystal teleported to where he was at in his bedroom. Did he? As the detective looks into the, yeah, he was standing right here. with his shoes and looking this way at the window. It must be the crystal. You must be right, Ochako. What we haven't tested the crystal, so it must have been like that crystal must have known something about Zuko that we don't even know about. Yeah. So yeah. So then they set up a burial so that because they thought he was dead. But they did find a crystal, but or actually, yeah. So they put the crystal back in the museum and reinforced it with the power canceller thing. So yeah. So then now during all that time, Zuko, or actually they all were sad and that someone or the crystal, it has something to do with his power. So yeah, you guys that are watching this video, you guys know what's gonna get happen. They do not know what is gonna go happen. So let's say 20 years in the Doomsday Zuku's alternate timeline. Zuku, who bulked up into, now he's 20, he's 7, or no, 25. Or actually, he was like, or actually 16, or no, 18. That's what he is. So that's what his buffed up self is. Oh. So basically, his bulking up, like how Super Saiyans are. Like, his body structure was like that. So, yeah. So then, but in his timeline, the not Doomsday Zuko's his timeline, but the one that is all about this Zuko, who's his timeline, the one that we were just at. Zumi was like, she got one for all and all of that stuff. Well, Zuko ends up, no, actually Zumi was like, still like, she's wondering why that her brother or why does that guy, or why does the crystal chose Zuko? Everyone was curious about that. But then to the All Might versus All for One, I'm doing a time skip. So All for One and was battling against All Might, and All Might was down, but he's not out. As right at a perfect time, like, All for One was gonna shoot a beam, a light, at the All Might, but then at the perfect time, Zuko showed up. He got teleported back to his world, as he says, "That's not very nice of you, All for One." As when the smoke cleared, and when they all, like, every single girl that was watching it live, they saw Zuko's body on it, and he went from being like that until, like, all those girls that they all saw how buffed up he was. Yeah. They're pretty much, as they were like, they literally collapsed. Yeah. Even Zumi. As All Might was like, "Who are you?" Hold that question until after me and him go toe to toe. So he goes in, battles. He, like, went toe to toe with All for One. Like, he was basically one against All for One. Yeah. And the villains are like, they all came from different. Yeah. So those people were gonna, like, say, "We're gonna kill you." And Zuko, like, reflects their attacks back at them and, like, do all that weird stuff. So, yeah. Then, of course, Zuko used his power to direct the attacks right back at them. And, like, yeah. So then then he turns around. So that question that you asked me earlier about who am I? I'm Zuko Midoriya. I hope that my sister Zumi wasn't a handful. And I missed my own sister. And Ochako. Yeah, so of course, Ochako was blushing. I mean, it's good to be home. I had such a terrifying experience. So he used his powers of infinity to lift up the boulders. As his arm catched on fire. As he looked like Um, he kind of looked like an endeavor. He melted that debris into like something else. So then and of course first was like Zumi was like, okay, because she thinks that her brother's like, or she did not realize it. This is before her, like she almost got a nosebleed, but she stopped herself. But then when she heard her brother's name is Zuko, she was like crying, tearing up, and she literally she was crying so hard. Her that she wants to see him. So the the basically Zuko and the Doomsday Zuko stayed in touch. So they yeah. So basically yeah. So when the next day he or of course Sasashi he looks over or actually Hisashi saw Zuko for like a long time. So he ends up going to or he walked up to Zuko because he was a pro hero. So he walks up to Zuko and tells him, "Hey, Zuko, long time no see. Hey, Dan, what's up?" So then, yeah, he still remembers him. Huh. Let's go back to our house. Okay. I'm so, as he says, I'm so excited to be back. I'll tell you the story. Okay. So then, when after they got back, or actually, Inko was like wondering why Zook or why her husband took so long. But then when Sashi shows up, she like yells at him for being late thing. But then when she turned her eyes, looked at him or looked at Zuko, and she's wondering who is this guy, eh? As the eh, as Zuko says, "I'm Zuko, Mom." The You don't recognize me, baby Zuko, and she starts tearing up, and she like literally runs up and hugs him, like tackles him, um, and yeah, why are you so dang big, Zuko? I We missed you so much. And since yeah, Sorry about that. And the, the it was just, it's scary. And I'll tell you what really happened. Of course, um, of course, the Choco. Oh, like when, let's say the next day, or actually after they had a talk, like, so the next day, Nezus shows up. The he thought or like, of course, Nezus says that you want to be a hero. Yeah, okay. That's only he truly. But after seeing the darkest versions of myself and some of the light, so I'm glad that the him I only have to deal with all of you as my friends. Okay, as Ninja says, good to have, or that's a compliment, huh? Yeah. So tell us, Zuko, why did you like, or where did you go? Well, he felt like I was trapped in a metaverse thing. That's the crystal, the one that me and Ochako Baku, when we were 3 years old, we went to there. Went to the museum, and the crystal um, was setting. It felt like my stomach was setting on fire, like flaring me from both sides. Because I could feel the aura of it. Hmm, that's interesting. As they did a DNA test, like to see what the was inside, but when what they found was infinity zero, and then but they've also found multiple quirks like powers as they matched all of them with all of the present day users like Momo's creations and like everything was like, okay, so can you explain? Well, one of the multiverse that I went to, the there's this big monstrous guy as he's about 78 years old. Man, he's old. As the Mount or the Midnight says, as everyone's like, yeah, go ahead, Zuko, keep telling. Well, his name's, and first of all, before the he looked at Mount or Midnight and says, "That's just rude of calling your or calling the alternate version old, like that." Uh, oh, okay. He was my alternate version, like dark version, named Doomsday Zuko. as everyone in the room was silent. They could not believe that there's this 78-year-old guy. What powers does he have? As Mr. Aizawa says that. Well, that's the thing. His quirks, he has powers like kind of like what you see in every Nomu. But there was one that he told me about that he has was evolution quirk. Never heard of such a thing like that. Well, let me explain it. Or you'll probably get bored of what I'll explain. Go ahead, explain. What does it do? Well, by itself, it does nothing. But if it combines with other quirks, it becomes like this unstoppable force. That's interesting. They never seen a quirk like that before. The what did you call it? Evolution? Yes. And only person that was wielding it in that universe was my Doomsday Zuko version. How did he obtain that power? From the Quark Doctor, in his alternate timeline. As he remembers the tombstones, and one as he starts to tear up. As Nezu says, "What's wrong?" Oh, it's just. Or actually, Nezu says, "What's wrong?" to Zuko. So Zuko replies that I'm just the being in that universe and seeing all those tombstones or graves of every or all of you. Yeah, so Nezu says, or as them all calming him down. Yeah. And he did, like, he always had his cell phone, like, always fully charged. So he shows a picture of what the grave site looked like. And they could not believe it. So how did you do it, Zuko? As Zuko looks at him, are you talking about my alternate version of me? Yes. How did your alternate version do that much damage? And Zuko explains to the whole story, like how the Doomsday told him that same story. A couple minutes later, as they see him, as Nezu says, interesting. So so you're saying that he was once human like yourself, but at age of 4 took a dark turn, right? Because of the Quark Doctor? Yes. So basically, yeah. It scares. So then how do you feel about becoming a hero, battling it? Okay? So he is in Class 1A. He mastered like everyone's quirk. Everyone in Class 1A, Class 1B, saw like how good he's doing with all of their quirks. So then the whole thing goes, and like, yeah, Zuko was basically pretty good. So he ends up in Class 1A, just like his sister and his girlfriend. Yeah. They could not believe that. And the. So he was a. Same year as his. As the Class 1A. So Zuko ends up. So now he battles against Overhaul. Oh. And yeah, so Overhaul is like, they'll be he dead and gone. As Zuko says, as the as he could feel the electrical energy, because he actually absorbed One for All, or no, actually, yeah, One for All from like Doomsday Zuko's is. So he ends up going all the way through, punching all for or Overhaul with enough force. Yeah, Zuko was pretty upset, as he does. Zuko, you're flying, and how? As Sir Night Eyes is like, you're using Gran Torino's quirk. Without. Plus, you also use like other quirks. So then they could not believe it. That as Zuko was so trained hard with his power, they all ask him, how did you train? I mean, remember that Doomsday Zuko that I said? Yeah. As Baku goes wondering, or actually, let's say Bakugo was also wondering why his friend came back from the dead. But then, when he heard there was another Zuko, as Bakugo says, I hope that as the Zuko cuts him off, well, in that alternate timeline, I was Doomsday Zuko. Wait, so you're saying that you were a Doomsday Zuko? Yeah, in that alternate timeline. We are still in touch, but me and him agree on one thing. That one thing is to keep my mom safe, or our mother safe. He's actually thinking about coming to here. As they're like, oh boy. As he's wondering, okay. So then after the whole overhaul incident thing and portal opens up, Zuko, who from this world's Zuko, ends up waiting, long time no see, over, or no, Doomsday Zuko, as everyone points their guns at him. Lower your weapons. He's just a friend of mine. I see him as my own brother. As, yeah, Doomsday Zuko was like, and he walks up to, as they both bro fist each other. They're like, I'm trying to do it. Like the hat. So, like, yeah. As they both, like, so he goes over, or they walk over to Zumi, or no, actually Inko, and the Zuko, or of course, Inko was, she heard about Doomsday Zuko, how his tragic backstory was yeah. So then Zuko ends up, or actually Zuko comes home, asks Inko, I have someone here for you. As Inko was wondering, okay, so when she came outside, she saw this big, puffed up creature. But then remember the Doomsday Zuko that I told you about? That's him. And she broke down in tears as she walks down and hugs him. As Doomsday Zuko was crying with her too. As, yeah, he wanted to come and see her because it's been in like a long time. So yeah. So yeah. So then Ochako, and Zuko got married and had 3 kids. Yeah. So peace out, y'all, and have a good night or day, depends on the time zones. Bye.